Hi, we're Stan and Rhonda from Over the Hill Adventures, and welcome to our channel. So today we are going to have a special surprise for you.
We're going to share our itinerary from our South Dakota trip.
Yes, many of you right now are in South Dakota, and some of you are actually planning to go there real soon. And so we have decided to put this little video together and give you some highlights, some points and places to go. And we hope this is going to help you. It's our goal to encourage and inspire you to get active. Make sure you have a pen and paper and buckle up, because we have got a lot for you.
We really felt it was important. We had so much to share. We were so excited that we couldn't wait.
We originally wanted to go to South Dakota to see Mount Rushmore. Well, when we got to South Dakota, there was so much more than Mount Rushmore.
If you have not ordered a South Dakota visitor guide, you can get one. So it's actually a vacation guide. These are free. So we'll put the link in the description. Get yours, and it comes with all the information, a map for Custer State Park, an entire map of the state of South Dakota, and it breaks it down by regions and different things you can do.
So the first place that we stayed at was Hot Springs Black Hills KOA.
Yes, and we arrived there actually late April of 2023, and we ended up just setting up camp there for a week. We loved it there. It was gorgeous. The campground was beautiful. The grounds were beautiful. It was very much a setting for like the mountains. It was beautiful. It was
a great point for us to set up, and not only we needed to drop anchor for a few days, however, it was in great proximity to some of the places we wanted to see, like Wind Cave National Park.
Yes, and that's one of the first things we went and did. And we went to Wind Cave National Park, and we did the Natural Entrance Cave Tour. And that is about an hour and 15-minute tour.
Yeah, you can't compare it to like Carlsbad Caverns. You can't compare it to the Mammoth Caves. It's just its own cave in itself.
It's a dry cave, and it has what they call box work.
Right.
And it's very different, like Stan said, from a lot of the things we've seen. And after we did the Natural Entrance Cave Tour, we drove the scenic highway, and it takes you over this iconic bridge, Beaver Creek Bridge.
You kept on saying how much you loved that park.
It wasn't even so much the cave, but I just loved the rolling hills and the trees. It was gorgeous. So from there, we went out to hike Rankin Ridge Trail. And that took us up to a lookout tower where we could see the Badlands in the distance. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the tower was closed, and we couldn't hike up to the tower, but we just got to the base of it and enjoyed that. You found antlers along the trail, and definitely worth a hike.
The other thing we also did, which was actually a popular thing in Hot Springs, was the Mammoth dig site.
It's an active dig. It is actually the largest concentration of mammoths in the world. It was actually discovered in 1974 when the owner of the property was going to be putting in a subdivision, and they were excavating the property. A backhoe went to dig and hit what they later discovered was a tusk of a mammoth. We did a day trip from Hot Springs, Black Hills KOA, where we were staying, to the Badlands.
We actually thought that we may have wanted to stay in the Badlands and actually camp on the dispersed camping, which is called the Wall. We decided against that because of the weather, the winds and the high winds, so we decided to do a day trip from our KOA Hot Springs campground to the Badlands.
It was about a 2-hour one-way drive, but we knew it was going to be a long day. So
yeah, and it really wasn't that bad. It went quick. Mm-hmm. But before we hit the Badlands, you guessed it,
Wall Drug. You have to see Wall Drug. It's like 76,000 square feet of gift stores and drug stores and knickknacks and all kinds of food.
Anything and everything you think you may want to see there, you're going to see there.
And at Wall Drug, the only place in the world that you can ride a jackalope.
She's clowning me because I rode a jackalope. And if you don't know what a jackalope is, go back to our video and you'll see what a jackalope is.
I'll be showing it.
And I did ride one.
After Wall Drug, we took off and we went to see, well, we were headed toward the Badlands, and before that is the Wall, like you were talking about.
Yeah, we went and checked out the Wall just to say that we were there. And I gotta be honest, when I climbed up one of those hills, I could not picture myself pulling my trailer up that hill. But once you got up to the hill and you were up on the Wall, the views are incredible. It is pure Badlands, and it's gorgeous. There's no doubt, and I know a lot of people have done it, and you may want to check that out. For me, with the high winds that we were experiencing, it was not a good fit for us.
But it's free camping.
Yes.
We wanted to do that, but like Stan said, the weather really put a fault in our plans for that. So.
However, there's a lot of big places for you to park, as big of a rig as that you have, and there are plenty of places over there that you could park.
So we pulled out of the Wall, and not very far.
We saw our token bison.
Yeah, right at the entrance. As Stan
I always
says.
believe there's a token bison right at the entrance of every national park that have bison.
Pretty much is true. We saw one at Wind Cave, and then we saw this one here at Badlands.
There is an entrance fee, of course, or if you have your national park entrance card, then you'll get in for free. But we had chose to do Badlands in a day, and we feel that you could probably do Badlands in a day.
Definitely. We drove their scenic loop. It was beautiful, and it is like no other place we've ever seen.
So as we were on the scenic loop, get ready and get your camera ready, because you're going to see quite a bit of wildlife. We were blessed to see some huge male longhorn sheep.
You've got to keep your eye on a swivel, your head on a swivel, because they are behind the mountains, or we got out there at an overlook, got across the road and went back to find them. Stan got some great shots of them.
And then we went further down the road,
Yeah.
and there they were right on the road.
Yeah, we didn't have to work so hard for
So I didn't really have to work so hard. But then we ended up at the Ben Rifle Visitor Center. And what a great place to stop to get your souvenirs or whatever you need. They have a great visitor center, but also to have a quick lunch or a quick bite to eat.
Yeah, they have some really great picnic spots, so tables with wind protectants, and definitely stop there. Take your dogs. Dogs are not allowed on the trails in this national park, but you can take the dog to the visitor center grass out front, the parking lot right there, to the picnic area. So that is what we did. We had our dogs with us, and because it was a day trip, we didn't want to leave them too long. So we stopped there, and then I hit Stan with
Notch Trail.
That was awesome. This trail,
This is the one she hit me with.
you climb up this ladder. As soon as I saw the ladder, I just knew I wanted to do it.
The Notch Trail is about 1.5 miles round trip.
It's kind of level. Once you got to watch how you're walking, because there's some rocks, things like that. But once you go up the ladder, then it kind of takes you along this edge, this really steep edge, and the view.
Needless to say, you probably might not want to do that during the summer, because the ranger said it gets in the 90s. But if you do, make sure you bring lots of water. On our final day, we decided to go to Angostura Recreation Area.
And it's part of the state park system. So you can buy a pass for 7 days. It would include Custer State Park. It would include any of the other parks. But we just paid $8 to get in. And we brought our bikes.
This is one you need to write down. There's
Actually 4 campgrounds.
And we actually, on our bikes, when we took our bike loop along the lake there, Angostura Reservoir, we went through each and every one of these campgrounds. So we got to view these. They're level, paved, and I'm going, this is the best kept secret in the world. So if you decide that you want to go to Hot Springs, a great place to camp, RV camp, is Angostura Recreation Area.
Yes, and bring your bike with you. So there's the multi-use trail right there. It runs 5.2 miles one way, so 10 miles if you do the whole thing, out and back. There's 36 miles of shoreline. We saw fishing going on. There was boating. It's an amazing little place. It's gorgeous.
So after we finished staying at Hot Springs, it wasn't really the highlight of our event, more than it was a place to set anchor, we took off to one of the campgrounds we were really blessed to be able to make a reservation at, and that was the Custer State Park at Blue Bear Campground.
Yes, gorgeous. And it opened May 1st. We were able to get a reservation on May 1st for 4 nights, and we had an electric site.
An amazing site, best site in the house. You were on top of the hill and you looked down at everybody else.
But we saw turkey, we saw deer walking through the campground, and lots of signs of other wildlife.
Right, and speaking of wildlife, when we were there, we actually arrived at noon, and it became afternoon, and then she hit me with it. We took the wildlife loop trail.
We went clockwise, I would say, around, and we were going, we were getting excited, we're seeing deer, we're seeing pronghorn, and then we come across this herd. We find ourselves in a herd of buffalo along the wildlife loop road.
Right, it was Ranger Rhonda's theory that if we went in the latter of the afternoon, the likelihood that we would see animals would probably be the best, and she hit it on the nose. Ranger Rhonda knew exactly what was going on, because I'll tell you what, it was incredible. And that was the only day that it was like that, because we tried to go back to see more, take some more photographs, and it's like,
where are they?
Where'd they go?
Where'd they go? Right. So we did find them. Eventually, we had to go on some of the back roads and all that. But a couple things we did in Custer State Park. We rode our bikes. There are some phenomenal roads, outback roads. You can go, and more wildlife.
We took Lame Johnny
Road. That's right.
Lame Johnny Road or Lame Johnny Trail, but that took us all the way from Bluebill, actually to where we originally saw the herd of buffalo on the wildlife loop.
We did the Coolidge Creekside Trail, which is paved, and that runs, I wanted to say that was about another 4 miles or so, maybe 8 miles round trip. And that kind of runs along the highway, along the wildlife loop road. So
my favorite, we biked the Coolidge Fisherman Trail, and that was my favorite. It turned me into a little kid because of all the rivers. We jumped 14 rivers, and it was just an incredible, and it ended up at Center Lake. That's another thing about Custer State Park. They have these lakes that are in the middle of the park with campgrounds, some further in, and it was just an incredible time.
Speaking of lakes, we took a day trip and we went up Needles Highway to Sylvan Lake. And
this is a must-do, folks.
Yeah, Needles Highway is kind of twisty and turny, and you go through 2 tunnels. You go through the Iron Creek Tunnel, and you go through the Needles Eye Tunnel. You end up at the Needles Eye, which is a rock formation. We almost missed it. I think you don't really see it. You have to kind of get in front of it. And then we hiked the Cathedral Spires Trail, and that was phenomenal. I enjoyed that. That was a little intense as far as the ascension. There was a lot of
and that was like 1.5 miles also.
Not bad.
So we went and hit the spires, the Cathedral Spires hike first, and then we followed that up, hit the Needles Eye, and then we hit Sylvan Lake. And that was a great plan, And
Custer State Park is dog friendly, so we were able to take one of our dogs on the trail with us, which was great. Then after that, we ended up at Sylvan Lake. We took the kayak out. We have an inflatable 2-man kayak. Stan blew it up. We threw it out there. It was the fastest kayak adventure yet. We couldn't stay on too long because there was a cloud coming, and it was coming in with fury. So we went out, we saw what we could see, and we turned around and we came back. But what a beautiful area for picnicking, kayaking, fishing. There's a trail that goes around the entire lake. Fabulous.
So on our final day of Custer State Park, we had to cut it out because I said custard. So on our final day of Custer State Park, we decided to go on the Iron Mountain Road. And what an historical, phenomenal road.
So the bookends of the Iron Mountain Road are Custer State Park and Mount Rushmore. So that was our day trip to Mount Rushmore, and we took Custer
I like
State
the way
Park.
Rhonda said that, the bookends. Gotta do it if you have the vehicle. If you have an oversized vehicle like a motorhome, you can't go. You won't fit. But I tell you, it is one not to miss, because you go through these tunnels, and when you go through the tunnel, and all of a sudden, there it is, Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, they were built to frame Mount Rushmore. It's pretty crazy. Then there's pigtail bridges that were constructed in the 1930s, and then there's splits. I don't even really know what a split was. So you're on this road that looks like it's barely wide enough for a bicycle, let alone a vehicle.
No need to be in a hurry.
Right.
Just enjoy it. So at the end of Iron Mountain Road,
Mount Rushmore.
the reason why we took this trip. And I gotta tell you, I was in awe.
It was absolutely breathtaking and awe-inspiring and very patriotic for me. I felt just this, there was a silence, like you had said, just a silence there, and there wasn't a lot of people when we were there.
But still, there was a reverence there.
So enter the monument, there's no cost, but $10 for parking. When we went up, you walk along the Avenue of the Flags, and that was really beautiful. And it just kind of at the end of the Avenue of the Flags, there is Mount Rushmore. And then there's another way you can get up a little closer to the faces.
Oh, that's right.
You got to take the Presidential Trail. And I want to say it's like 0.6 miles. And one direction is a lot of stairs, another direction is wheelchair accessible strollers. We were a little early because it was the beginning of May when we were there, and so the end of May to the end of September they do an evening lighting ceremony, and we've just heard amazing things about that. But we were able to go at night and see it again. We went with our friends Christina and David, and they actually work camp out there. And they said, let's go. And so we were like little kids sneaking out, and we parked and we went in, and the gate was up. So
it was free parking.
It was free for us at that time.
The only ones that were there were us and the ranger. And
their faces were all lit up.
Faces were all lit up. I think they stay lit up all night. Our last night, we actually went up to Coolidge Tower.
Yeah, the fire overlook. Yes.
We rode all the way up there to the top, and I think it's 1.5 miles. It was closed to vehicles. You could walk up there. We chose to go ahead and take our bikes, and we rode our bikes, saw wildlife up there, and then it's the highest point in the park. So don't miss that. Take the time. You'll miss it. You'll drive by it, and you'll see that road, and you won't figure out. Just look on your map and look for it. It's the Coolidge Tower. It's just...
And right across the street from that is the
Heddy
Draw Overlook. So if you park in that little parking lot right there across from the overlook, where the overlook would head up the mountain, you go right across, park right there, you can walk, what, 1/8 of a mile? Right. And then there's this beautiful wooden constructed like little picnic area, and you could sit there and overlook the Black Hills also and have a picnic or bring a coffee, and it's just beautiful.
The next day we had our furthest trip. It was a long travel day, and it was all about 35 minutes. Next stop was Palmer Gulch KOA, the second largest KOA in the nation. It's actually Palmer Gulch KOA Resort. You can rent cars, you can rent side-by-sides, you can tour from there any which way. They have all kinds of things for kids to do. It is set up for a family, but the most important thing about it, it was centrally located.
And what we did while we were there, we went to Crazy Horse Memorial, and that place is crazy.
And it is also a must-see. Wherever you're at, you could see it because it is huge. The finish project of Crazy Horse is him pointing with his left hand while he's riding a horse looking over the Badlands.
And you do pay to get in by how many people are in your vehicle. I want to say for the two of us it was $24. We loaded a bus, and I want to say we paid $4 each person, so $8, and we went to the base. It took us up probably about half a mile up a little bit to the base of the sculpture.
They also offer tours to get up onto Crazy Horse. but that's pretty pricey, but they do offer that. So
yeah, they'll take you up to the top.
and prices are always changing. And like Rhonda said, you know, it's been under construction for a lot of years, and I don't think it's going to be finished in our lifetime. But there's just a crew of 10 that it continues to work, and they're all family related to the sculptor.
Original sculptor, yeah.
The original sculptor, and they are continuing doing the work. It's a beautiful dedication to the indigenous people.
Also, what we did from Palmer Gulch, we went to Jewel Cave National Monument. It's one of the longest caves in the world. They've mapped over 215 miles.
And they said that the Wind Cave and the Jewel Cave is only like 15 miles apart.
We took the scenic tour, and it takes you up and down 734 stairs, which is equivalent to 40 flights. And it's about a half a mile loop. It's an hour and a half is the tour. We really liked Jewel Cave. That was one of the highlights. I mean, honestly, if we could say Jewel Cave or Wind Cave.
Yeah, if you were gonna make the decision between the two, Jewel Cave.
And you'll see cave bacon. There's a very unique formation that's called cave bacon in there.
All right, gotta see Hill City. Hill City is a town, a small town. It appears they're starting to modernize that town a little bit, but I got a tip for you. If you're staying at Palmer Gulch, Caraway, you can go out the back way and there's a shortcut to Hill City, but just follow the locals. You know, you just go out the back of the KOA, make a left, and it goes right into Hill City. And the neat thing about it, it dumps you off right there of where the Mickelson trailhead begins.
And that was one of my favorite things I wanted to do. So we kind of Googled, we thought, what is the most scenic section of it? Because there's so many trailheads, and it was Hill City to Mystic. And that's what we did. We took off one day, we started at the trailhead in Hill City, and we went to Mystic, and it was about a little over 15 miles, I think, one way.
It will be a treat because Mystic is a ghost town, and you can only get there by dirt road or by bike and the Mickelson Trail. There is no paved road that goes there, but it will be a treat because you will see buildings that are preserved, you know, and from the 1800s.
Wasn't it a mining town? And then that you had the railroad that would come through there. So of course, that's what the Mickelson Trail is, if we didn't explain that. We love to seek out rails to trails. So these are all old converted railroad beds that now are hiking or biking trails. And that's what this is. It's 109 miles of old railroad. And so the section that we did was phenomenal. That took you to Mystic. It took us through, I think our section took us through 2 or 3 rock tunnels. And then throughout the whole trail, there's hundreds of converted railroad bridges. So we went through over tons of bridges.
This is what you hit me with because it was almost 30 miles after we were done.
Yeah,
but you know what? It was just beautiful going through the backcountry of the Black Hills.
Highlight for us. Highlight.
Absolutely highlight. I'm not sure if you can do a class 2 e-bike, but you can definitely do a class 1. Other things to do in Hill City is the 1880 train. You're gonna notice though, when you take that back road out of the KOA, Palmer Gulch KOA, that you are going to go over a lot of those 1880 railroad tracks because it traverses through that country.
Yeah, it takes off or I guess depends how you look at it, but from Hill City to Keystone, and Keystone is actually where Mount Rushmore is. So that's where that train wanders through the hills, and the 1880 train is an old steam locomotive, and it just gives you that all historic feel.
What a treat for kids to be going on an 1880 steam train through the hills of South Dakota, Black Hills, South Dakota.
Yeah, we unfortunately were there too early because it opened on Mother's Day and we left. I believe it was Mother's Day that we left. We were a little bit surprised about Keystone.
A lot surprised because when you hear about Keystone, South Dakota, you think you're a big city. You think you're gonna go to a big city. which it's not. It's what is it? 264 people.
It was a population. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about South Dakota in that area. It shuts down in the winter, and they open it up right around the 1st of May. And
but boy, is it hopping in the summertime, because they have every adventure you could possibly want. What it reminded us of is Pigeon Forge in Tennessee. There's zip lines. They have all kinds of tourist attractions. There's a little mining tour you can do. There's mini golf.
Whatever you could think of, they do.
We did go out to dinner there. We went to the Ruby House. And interesting, I mean, it looks like you're back in the 1800s and old pictures on the wall.
When you walk in, you feel like you're walking back in time.
Absolutely. And we enjoyed our meal there. It was really good. They did have a seasonal menu. That's another thing too. If you go too early, seasonal menus, certain things aren't open, but I'll tell you, there are no crowds. It's amazing.
Okay, tip. The ice cream shop right across the street, excellent place to have ice cream.
Excellent. Yes, that was great.
Okay, one more favorite stop of Rhonda's.
It was called the Prairie Berry Winery. This is what we brought home from the Prairie Berry Winery. I'll tell you, this rhubarb one, amazing. So the winery, I was so impressed. We actually found this in the store, I think Kroll's. Then we ended up on the way out of town, going out of town.
So let's finish with your little winery.
We stopped at Prairie Berry Winery and brought back a souvenir.
It's the winery for winos.
But they have food, and they have a beautiful setting. You could sit out, and you could, sit outside, you could sit inside, you could eat, you can have a...
Let me tell you the difference between two wines. One is raspberry, one is strawberry. Get the raspberry one, the rhubarb raspberry one. Oh, you didn't know that, did you?
Is it raspberry? Oh, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Rhubarb and
this one,
10% raspberry.
Strawberry.
90% rhubarb. And this is rhubarb strawberry.
There you go.
The rhubarb raspberry is probably my favorite.
Taught her lesson.
But they've lasted. They're not open yet. So they're just, I don't want to drink it because it's just the novelty of it.
Our next stop, Spearfish.
So we stayed at the KOA in Spearfish. That was a great stop. It was fine. We needed the laundry facilities and had full hookups. I'm really glad we did because it ended up raining. I think we stayed in Spearfish for 5 nights. I think it rained for 4 days straight. Straight
through the night. I've never experienced that, but you just adapt and overcome.
Right, and we did. So I think our best day, we actually went to Spearfish Canyon, and that was our best day. And I don't think we experienced any rain, and we got to do some hiking, and we saw the waterfalls. There's 3 main waterfalls as you're driving along Spearfish Canyon that you're gonna wanna see. So there's Bridal Veil Falls. That one doesn't take any effort. You just pull over and it's right there.
Might as well just tell them what our great surprise is on the way back. White mountain goats on the top of the waterfall when we were on our way back. She goes, Stan, pull over. I go, why? I thought there was something wrong with the car.
I don't know how they defy gravity. They just defy. We're watching rocks fall from
underneath. You're going to see a sneak peek in this video because this video hasn't come out yet. We go on and we stop at Spearfish Falls, right?
Yes, we did stop at Spearfish Falls, and there's a restaurant right there, and you just park in that parking lot, and you can see it from that parking lot, but you're kind of looking right, it's like right next to you, so you can't see it from head on. So if you want to see it from head on, from the base of it, you got to walk down this trail, and boy, is that thing steep, but it's not very far.
It's not very far, so gotta do it because you are going to see probably Spearfish Canyon's most beautiful waterfall.
Yeah, I want to say maybe it's 3/4 of a mile all the way, out and back.
And then across from there, we went up that road.
Yes.
And that's when we
went to Rough Lock Falls.
That was a surprise. When you go back there, it's like you transform into another place because the river turns into like green moss and
it's beautiful.
And it's just
cascades.
Oh, it's just absolutely beautiful. If you're into waterfalls, into cascades, into photography and, you know, doing that kind of photography, it is an easy hike, all paved, beautiful. You can actually hike from the other falls if you want to go along the canyon. But why? Just drive up there. There's a little parking lot up there, park, and boom, you're right there. One of the things that we really enjoy are historic sites. So one of the highlights is the old city of Deadwood, and I'm sure you've heard about it because this is where the Wild Bill Hickok was murdered.
Yeah, we visited the site where they believe he was murdered. It was at Saloon number 10, and although the original building did burn down, they have reconstructed this bar and then this little saloon in the back, and you can tour it. I think we paid $10 a person to go.
We paid $10 to go back there. Is this really it? We were conversing with this other guy. He goes, well, this is where they say, well, because the whole city had burned down, so they don't exactly really know exactly where it was. They have a lot of memorabilia there, a lot of neat stuff, actually something to see.
Yeah.
You can do a little bit of gambling in there, and some of the old houses that are up there.
Another neat thing there that you're going to want to do is the Mount Moriah Cemetery.
It is where Wild Bill Hickok it was laid to rest with Calamity Jane. They take a tour bus up there. Don't take the tour bus up there.
Yeah, you can just drive.
Just drive, park, pay your little $2 donation, walk up there. But we had another local guy tell us, hey, walk a little further and you're going to see some more historical grave sites.
Something that somebody told us about we were not anticipating was going to the center of the nation.
But what they had told us, a local person had told us, hey, make sure you take the road up to Belfouche and see the center of the nation. It wasn't originally the center of the nation until Hawaii and Alaska became part of the Union. I think what was more interesting to me was the museum that was there.
They have this beautiful monument there, and it was just fun. It's kind of fun to go and just say, hey, I was in the center of the nation, you know?
Yeah, don't miss it. You're close. You're only about 10 minutes away.
And it's free.
And it's free, absolutely.
Can't beat that.
Well, last but not least, and I know we have said a lot, and thank you for sticking with us, but our last place that we visited was Sturgis. We had some friends who live in Sturgis. They are part of our life group here in Lake Havasu, and they spend their summers in Sturgis, and we got to visit them, and they gave us basically a private tour of Sturgis before Sturgis grows into this mammoth biker party for an entire week. But he took us on a side trip and took us to the Full Throttle Saloon. And the Full Throttle Saloon is named to be the largest biker bar in the country.
There was some amazing like metal sculptures and that just it doesn't make sense there. It's very much a unique. In fact, they were funny. They're like, you just got to see it. We can't explain it.
Yeah.
And I think you got to see it because we can't explain it.
And if you're a motorhead, you're gonna love it because you're gonna see a semi-truck Freightliner hanging from the wall. Right? Exactly. You're gonna see bigger gears that you've never seen in your life, bigger than big. And it's just something that I didn't expect, found it fascinating. I'm glad it wasn't there during Sturgis, the big event, biker event in Sturgis, because I really got time to at least take a look at what was going on there. And then of course in the back of it, in another building, they've got a gift store where you can buy your t-shirts and all that.
So South Dakota did not disappoint. And if you can spend as much time there as you can, we would highly recommend that. Because I think we ended up staying probably almost 3 weeks total.
South Dakota is a sleeper state. It is very underrated. And we were just astonished. We want to go back. We said if it didn't get below 50 degrees in the winter, below freezing, 50 degrees below freezing in the winter, we'd want to move there. It is that beautiful. Hope you jotted down all this stuff that we basically went through with you.
Well, if we haven't answered any of your, something that you might be interested in doing there or knowing, if you have any questions, reach out, contact us, put a comment in the comment section below, and we'd love to help you plan your trip.
And those of you who have told me you're going to be there next month or in a couple of weeks, if this helped you, let us know. Give us a big like on our video. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe. And we thank you for that. And then ring the bell so that you could get notified for our next video.
And if this is a brand new video for you and you want to see our series, we call it Into the Wild. So we're going to put the playlist there, and we're only halfway through right now. If you haven't watched it yet, watch Into the Wild and you'll see all the things we're talking about.
Right, and thank you so much, because Into the Wild has been our best season.
Yeah.
And we totally feel so blessed. So thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us. God bless you, and we'll see you next video.
Till the next time.